Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday Five. One of the thoughts that I had when beginning the Friday Five was that occasionally I would give you a 5-minute overview to one of the books of the Bible. So today I thought I'd start with one of my favorite books of the New Testament, and that is the book of Ephesians. I first studied the book of Ephesians in depth under one of my favorite teachers, Wendell Winkler, when I was a student at Faulkner University, and Wendell took us through the prison epistles. And it is, I think, one of the jewels of the New Testament. One of the interesting things about the book of Ephesians is the Apostle Paul was constantly writing. As you know, Paul wrote about 2/3 of the New Testament, and he was constantly writing to deal with some doctrinal problem or some issue that some church members were having, or maybe fighting some enemy of the faith or enemy of the church. But in the book of Ephesians, it seems like Paul kind of lifts above the fray. He comes out of the dust of the skirmish, and he gives us a real glimpse of the glory of God's people and the glory of the church. And so it's a wonderful study for that reason, if for nothing else. So what I want to do in the light of, or in the spirit of the Friday Five, is to give you 5 things about the book of Ephesians that I think will be helpful to you as you begin to take a look at it. One is the world of the Ephesians. Although Paul lifts himself above the fray, it's not as if there wasn't something going on that could be troubling the church. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of Roman persecution. Jews had fled Jerusalem because of Jewish persecution, and then the Romans had driven the Jews out of Rome, and Aquila and Priscilla left Rome for that reason, came to Ephesus, and so on. There was also Ephesian paganism that was going on. It was the center for the worship of gods. You have the silversmith in Acts chapter 19 that caused Paul a great deal of trouble. There's also, number 2, there are 2 parts to the book of Ephesians. In a lot of Paul's writings, he'll have a very doctrinal section, and then he'll have a very practical section of the book, and it can vary in length. The book of Ephesians is split almost in half. Chapters 1 through 3 are doctrinal. He deals with redemption. He deals with reconciliation. He also deals with the idea of revelation. And then in chapters 4 through 6, he gets more practical. And considering the current position that we have in Jesus Christ and the fact that we are new creatures, he says, this is how you live that kind of life. That's chapters 4 through 6. Number 3, there are 3 prayers that he offers. In chapter 1, he offers a prayer for greater enlightenment about God and about what God had done for them. In chapter 3, he offers a prayer that they would understand the love of Christ more, even though he admitted that it was sometimes beyond our comprehension, even at that. And then in chapter 6, he asks for his own prayer, that they would pray that he would continue to be bold to proclaim the message of the gospel. Number 4, we have 3 sevens in the book of Ephesians. Chapter 1, Paul begins by talking about all spiritual blessings being in Christ Jesus. And that being the case, he tells us, he outlines in that first chapter, in one long sentence from verse 3 to verse 14, 7 blessings that we have which come from God. And then in chapter 4, you'll remember the 4 ones of unity. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one Spirit, one hope, and one body and one God. And these are to draw us together. And then in chapter 6, we have the 7 elements of the armor of the Christian. That leads us to a big reminder that we have in the book of Ephesians, and what I will call 3 B's in the book of Ephesians. And this is number 5. One of them is a reminder to us. He reminds us that we are in submission to Christ, and so we need to be submissive. And then he gives us some relief by telling us we belong to a body. We're not in this alone, and so we need to be committed to the body. And then finally, he gives us some reassurance by telling us that we can stand against anything that the enemy throws at us. And so he says we need to be equipped. And so as you look at the book of Ephesians, remember, Paul is giving us a glorious view of the church, what we can be, what we should be. And I hope you enjoy studying the book of Ephesians. This has been the Friday Five, and this is Ephesians in 5 minutes.